So this is more about the tangent line and the tangent faces. So when one face meets another face and those faces are tangent, like, well, how can we, improve upon that? So you still see the edges possibly, maybe when they're, because you need to see an edge on the edge of of your product, but you don't necessarily need all these little extra lines that separate these out. And what I'm going to do also is increase the fillet size on the small detail size. Let's see, final details, corner rounds. Okay, this is the one I want to increase. I'm going to increase these slightly so you can see these better here. So instead of 0.01, let's see, I'm going to go 0.05. That's better. So just give it a little bit more distance here. Okay, so first off, even if you just want to do a screenshot, just like say, okay, I want to do a screenshot of this just to show the client, but I don't want to confuse the client and have them think that this is another piece and then there's a separation line between these two, a part line or something. So what I go into, let's see, display. There's a couple ways to do this. This is probably the easiest. You go under view, menu item, view, and then display. And then we're at the bottom here. See how it says tangent edges visible? And that's on by default. Whenever SOLIDWORKS brings up any model, it'll be on by default, a tangent edges visible. So the next step is tangent edges as phantom. Okay, so now a lot of people like to have this on, in terms of, a lot of people, meaning the, kind of just professionals out there. They like to have the phantom edges on, because what this will show is, there's still a line here, but it's a dotted line. So it's a dotted line, and it is, so that's considered a phantom line. Usually a phantom line is, it looks like Morse code, right? It's a long dash followed by a short dash. And excuse me, my allergies here. So sometimes this is good to show tangency, but there's still a difference in, let's say there's a surface break, right? And you definitely want an angle break there. And what it'll happen is it'll show that angle break as a solid line, but any tangent lines, anything that's smooth across, it'll show it as phantom. So that way you can kind of differentiate the two, to see, so some people like to have phantom tangent lines on, right? So that's another option. But if you want them gone all together, then you go back to display, and instead of tangent edges as phantom, you just say tangent edges removed. So once you do that, you see how it's much, much smoother. So you still have an outline, you still have the edge on the outline here. Excuse me for a second. So you still have your outlines, your dark lines, but anything that's tangent is removed. So it gives it a little bit of a kind of a, almost like a toon feel to it, a cartoon feel to it. So it's a little bit cleaner. You don't have your dark lines interrupting the surface faces. Only if there's a part line, like in here, there's, this part is separated from this part, and there's a definite edge there. So there is a difference there. Okay, so that's a little bit cleaner. And then if you want all edges gone all together, any black edges, then you would go up here to display style. So instead of shaded with edges, you say just shaded. So there's no edges here. So that'll get rid of the rest of the lines that outline your model. So it just depends on your, kind of what your intent is to show the client possibly, and just go from there. Okay. Okay, so the next thing would be to get this into a drawing. So I'm going to turn this back on just so that the tangent edges. And notice that tangent edges will only be on if you're showing your edges. So shaded with edges is now back on. And now I can go up to display and turn the lines visible. Okay. So now I'm going to bring this into a drawing. And so I'll just go B size, say okay. And I'll bring the front in. And there's the top. And there's the side. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 views. And this is what I mean by the, you know, those tangent edges. So really there should not be an edge there, right? I mean, that's not a parting line. It's not a score line. It's not, you know, where two pieces come together. It's just, you know, it's just one face coming together with another face, and there's tangency there. So same thing on this one. So I'm going to click OK on there. And so this is a little bit different. I believe you can also get it here. Yeah, so you can also get it here. Same thing. So tangent edges are visible in this case. So the next choice is tangent edges with font. So that's a font item. But then tangent edges removed. So notice a lot of stuff disappears basically because there's a lot of tangent edges that make up the look of this. So that's why some of the stuff that's disappeared. So we can, let's see, I'm going to go in. That's why I like to bring it into Illustrator, because sometimes I do want to, you know, to bring in some of those elements. So I'm going to go to tangent edges. So you can also right click and let's see. I'll go back to that. Because when you think about it, you know, this edge is tangent with that. This edge is tangent with that, and that with that. So all of these really are tangent edges. So that's why everything kind of disappears when that's selected. I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to say tangent edges with hidden ends. So in this case, the ends are hidden. You know, just the ends of the way this kind of continues are hidden. The edge itself, like the very edge of the product, is still there. But you notice that this tangent end doesn't go all the way to the end. They're kind of set back a little bit. So think of this as almost like a setback. And, you know, I think this setback is a little bit extreme for what I normally, you know, how I illustrate things or put this into a drawing. You know, I would extend these a little bit further. And again, this is also why I like to bring it into Illustrator to do like one final adjustment to this. So, and maybe that could do a kind of slightly different video for that. But same thing, I'm going to select this view over here and go to View and Tangent Edges with Hidden Ends. And I'm going to see, you know, I've never tried to adjust that. I think that this is relatively new. So I'm going to go to do a search to see if I can hidden edges displayed as. I want to see if I can set that the distance between that, you know, that sort of that setback, you know, the just the ends are, but I don't think the. Let me see if I can find. So tangent edges are visible and hide ends. I don't know if there's a distance to that. I don't know if I could actually set the distance. I haven't tried that before. So maybe it's possible to select exactly what this distance is. You know, maybe I want to bring it down a little bit further, but I don't see the that as a distance or what have you. So I'll investigate that a little bit, see if it's possible to do that. All right, so that's basically where it is, though. You know, this is where you would find that option, so you don't get all of these little divider lines. So you can either right-click the view here, say tangent edge removed, and much, much cleaner, especially in this top view. You know, all you see is the, you know, kind of the main, you know, face differentiators, but not every single fillet, you know, being shown here. So it just cleans up the model substantially. Go to tangent edge, hide ends was on, and I'll turn off all of the edges here. So this is where, you know, you may want to add one back in Illustrator here. So your choice, you know, your choice on all this stuff. Tangent and visible. Okay. And so yeah, so that's the tangents. So those are the couple notes on the tangent edges. The other one was, I think, with was it? I think it was Mark's, or whose was it? I think maybe Yao's too, the angle, or maybe David's, on how to dimension on something where there's nothing to reference. You know, let's say there's, I can't really select this edge here and this edge here. So you may want to add a sketch item first. So I go to sketch, put a simple line. Oh, I think I already selected this line here. So you're kind of including your own lead line first. And then you're just dimensioning between those two lines. Careful what you select first, though, because then it'll select the that entire line. Okay, so that's a way to get some dimensions, you know, and something that you can't really dimension, you know, because there's no edge, or there's just an ill-defined, you know, maybe it's just a spline or something that you can't just grab onto or select. Another thing too is you can also add a simple point to things. So let's say this right here. So I can add a point here and maybe a point here. So now that those are there and they're sort of attached to that, then I can get my smart dimension and select those points. And that's it. So, you know, it's going to the points, and it adds a dimension between those points. Okay, so that's another way to add that. So you can either do it by adding the lead lines first, or next by, you know, adding some points there and dimensioning to those points. So those are a couple ways around, you know, just dimensioning to some tough areas where you can dimension. And then lastly, I did want to show, let's see, I think the angle, let's see, I think, I'm not sure if I'd be able to do it on this though. Yeah, you can, let's see, I think you can align. Now I think I'll try to see if I can, or maybe I'll do a separate video on this, just so I can have this angled first. Similar to how a couple of you had your models, or maybe you already started, you know, with another model, let's say like the hand model, and you model it angled. You know, how do you get it back to something? So maybe someone can give me their model and I'll make a video on that. So if you can upload your model, I think Weary, I think you had one like this, David as well. So if just make sure that you upload those models to your Google Drive, and I'll make a separate video on those specifically. Okay, so that's just a couple notes on your drawings and how to improve them. And I'll do a separate one too on the Illustrator side. Once I get back on the Mac, I'll do this in Illustrator. You know, how do I improve these drawings in Illustrator? Okay, so we'll go from there.